feels, that feels a little better. Feels a little better. So, there's a lot that I want to talk about in this video today. So there's a lot that I want to talk about in this video today. Um, as we can see by the backdrop, we know that I am currently in New York. Um, and so, yeah, we're going to talk about a lot in this video. We're going to talk a little bit about Katrina. We're going to talk a little bit about addiction. We're going to talk a little bit about sex magic. Just a lot of different things that I've been pondering during this supermoon season. We're in a supermoon time. And so, yeah, I want to talk about that. So, you know what I think? I'm feeling more like I want to be down to earth. I'm feeling like I want to be more grounded in this video instead of just like sitting up high. I want to come down and be grounded. So there's a few things I want to share as you're coming into the space. Please be sure to click the like button to help me get through the algorithm. You know that we're speaking to the wall, we're getting through the vibration. So as you are coming into the space, be sure that you click that like button and that you help us to get through the algorithm, because we're shouting at that wall, right? Purple ones rise. So the first thing that I want to do in this video is just kind of look back and just sort of remember. And so before we remember, because Hurricane Katrina was to me still to this day one of the most powerful storms that we have witnessed people face and endure in America, you know, in the known history of America. Thousands of people lost their lives. Tens of thousands of people lost everything that they owned. You know, things that were of value, things that they could not get back. It was literally washed away in the storm. So many people were dislocated and had to start over. And I was one of them, you know. And so, you know, experiencing that storm and living through that storm helped me to really, really, really become a stronger person. Grandmother used to always say, you know, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And I definitely agree that that storm made me stronger. During the time when Katrina happened, I was recently diagnosed with what I call the nothingness, which is HIV. And I was experimenting with crack cocaine as a result of finding out my status. There was very little information about it. I was preparing myself to die. You know, I thought I was gonna die. You know, that's really what we thought about it. That's really how we saw it. And so I was in a very, very, you know, chaotic place. So I was using as a means to cope with, you know, learning about my status a couple of years before. One of the things about that drug was it made me more basic, you know, if that makes any sense. I wasn't like a super spiritual person thinking very deep. I was more carnal in my nature. My flesh um, was a priority. Feeding my flesh. Physical food. Having money. Wanting to have sex. Like I it made me more carnal. I could have spiritual moments, but for the most part, I was very carnal in my thinking, and I think for the most part, um, society itself is more carnal than spiritual, which is why we have um, so many people that are herded like sheep and are able to be misled and taken advantage of and manipulated, because a lot of people allow their flesh to lead them rather than their spirit. They'll say when they pray to Jesus and when they do the Christian prayer, that they're not leaning into their own understanding, but a lot of times, we are. And when I was in that space, I was very much a Christian. I can remember when I used to get high, I would have a crucifix, a gold crucifix that I would wear around my neck, and I would pawn it to get high. I certainly would. I would give it to the drug dealer, and then the next day I would go out and turn tricks to get it back, to get my crucifix back. So but I would often pawn my crucifix um, to get high. But anyway, when Katrina happened, I could remember being in my addiction, and I could remember Mayor Ray Nagin coming on the screen, and Mayor Ray said, his tone, it was the way he said it. It's not a joke. Y'all need to get out of here. Y'all need to get out of here. And the way that he was saying it, I never heard somebody on the news take that tone, because they were always, diplomatic in how they talk. They tried not to, they tried to tell you what to do, but they didn't say it in a way that caused you to really know that this is something to be worried about. I think that if Mayor Ray Nagin wouldn't have said it the way that he said it, I think that a lot more people would have died during Katrina if Ray Nagin would not have been as transparent. He was like, y'all need to get out of here. He was like, y'all need to get out of here. And so when he said that, this older white guy who I was dating, um, he had told me to come go with him. And so when I went out that night, my plan was to find me some drugs, um, to bring somebody home, and we were going to be in my room together, having and getting high and just riding the storm out. But when I saw Ray Nagin give what he gave on the news, it resonated, it struck, it sat with me. And I was like, this got to be serious, because I'd never seen anything like that. And so even in my addiction, my third eye, my spiritual eye, my discerning eye was still working. And that's how I know it doesn't matter where you are in your journey or what you're going through, you still can tap into that. It doesn't matter where you are in your life. And I'm saying this to people, someone who may need this. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what you're caught up in, what you're wrapped up in, what you're tied up in, what's using you, what's abusing you, what's taking advantage of you. There's a force in you. There's a spirit in you. There's a connection that you have to something greater, and it's connected to your purpose. And you could still hear that no matter how low you may feel, or from no matter what angle you're sitting. Amen. So I listened. I heard the message coming through him. And a lot of people, that's why they sent him to jail. That's why they dug up tea on him. That's why they found out, about the money situation. They was really trying to get him back for what he did on the news. Like, that's a huge rumor that's the real reason why he went to jail, is because the powers that be were mad at him because he didn't follow script. He got in front of that camera. Uh, yeah, I mean that was like, that's when the levees broke. Katrina. So so he so he was like, y'all better get out of there. And that same day he said that, the same day he said that on the news, that night all the stuff went down. By the next day, the storm had hit. Like, literally, it all happened in like a 12-hour window. Like, everything. Like, the next day, it was flooded, and people were. It was so dark you could not see your hand in front of your face. It was literally Armageddon. People were stealing from ATM machines. People were breaking into the grocery stores to get food because nobody was coming to work to sell food out of the store. So you had to break into the store. I didn't have to go through this because the older Caucasian man who was like a sugar daddy to me, slash sugar daddy to me, like, he had stock for the storm. He was already storm ready. He was already prepared for everything. So I was just over there by his house. But I started to go into a depression because New Orleans was so wounded as a city by the storm. And you knew that it wasn't going to shake back for a long time. So I wanted to go to California, but he didn't have the resources to send me to California. And I didn't want to go back to my family in Bogalusa because I knew, I was going to be a burden to them. I couldn't go home and do sex work because there was really a market for that. Like, it was Bogalusa. Like, so there weren't many opportunities for me at the time. And so I opted to go to Atlanta, and it took us 2 days to get to Atlanta. And Atlanta is typically a 6-hour drive, but because the streets were swamped with traffic, and like, we would literally have to sit in line at gas stations for 4 or 5 hours waiting to get gas. We had to get a hotel room one night, um, because, like, literally, that's how long the trip was. We literally had to get a hotel room and rest because we had been on the road all day, back to back, bumper to bumper traffic all day long, just to get to Atlanta. Just to get to Atlanta. And I saw, like, I think I saw Jasmine that night in a bar. We were all in the bar, and a lot of us were getting drunk, a lot of us was out getting high, a lot of us didn't know how serious it was going to be because there was always storm threats. I mean, we're from the Gulf. Like, that's a part of reality. I'm so thankful to be from Louisiana because Louisiana has really taught me how to prepare for storms. Amen and woman. It really, really has taught me how to be prepared for storms. I think a lot of times we have like this nonchalant, oblivious attitude when it comes to things that other people are threatened by and worried about and concerned about. And we just kind of have like this nonchalant, oblivious attitude because we live in the Gulf. There's always a storm threatening to sink the city. There's always a storm threatening to take everything from us, to flood our homes, to change our lives. Like, it happens every hurricane season. And so when you live in a state like that, when you live in a state of consciousness where during a certain time every year during hurricane season, there's this potential threat that you may have to evacuate. You may be flooded in. You may lose whatever you have. you get a different type of mindset. And it's a blessing when it inspires you to live every day like it's your last. Recently, and I don't know where I am with this right now. I'm sharing something that's, that I haven't really been talking about publicly yet. Um, I'm wrestling between returning to Louisiana and securing housing in New York. And the reason why is because when I'm in Louisiana, I feel at home, I feel safe, I feel loved, but I don't feel challenged. I don't feel as ambitious as I feel when I'm in New York. New York has a high energy to it, that inspires me to be a little bit more ambitious and competitive. And there are some things that I want to accomplish so that I could be more of a resource to my loved ones, to my family and my community. And I think that if I go back to Louisiana now, I will kind of be like a more of a bohemian spirit, and go back to sort of like a gypsy mentality where I just kind of like live from day to day and don't really worry about material things. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't I'm not against that. I just feel like there's things that I want to accomplish, and as much as I struggle with York as an environment, because there's so much of me that feels more connected to the earth and the land, just feels more connected to my environment when I'm in Louisiana. I feel connected to nature. I feel connected to the soil under my feet. I feel connected to the trees, the grass. I feel more connected to nature when I'm in the South. But I am less concerned about um, resources and access, and finances, and that limits what I can contribute, beyond my spiritual knowledge and my creativity, and those are valuable. Those things are important. But when I'm in New York, I feel motivated to um, go after opportunities that can be lucrative and can create financial opportunities. And so I feel like this is a sacrifice that I'm making to advance the work that I'm doing, to advance LelimLelur, to advance the culture that I'm helping to cultivate, the vision that I have for Purple Ones. I have to put myself in a position where I can be able to contribute to this, where I can be able to invest, where I have resources to invest. My soul and my heart and my spirit, Louisiana, but I just don't feel like in Louisiana I have the connections that put me in the position to really make financial impact. It just doesn't. I was talking to one of my friends, one of my mentors, and a person who I really really respect, Kim Bogalusa, and it was like, your brain is big, and you have so much to offer. And right now, coming back to Louisiana, coming back to the South, it may not be in your best interest. And this is a person who I know wants me to come home. Like, this is the person who has been rooting for me to come home, but they legit sincere understand. And so that's where I am right now. Right now it's up in the air. I don't know what's going on. Um, yeah, I know a lot of people who went to the Superdome.
Yeah, yeah, I know a lot of people who went to the Superdome. My daughter was in the Superdome, the one whose house I'm at now. Her and her boyfriend went to the Superdome for a little bit. But yeah, I know a lot of people who went to the Superdome. And a lot of stuff was happening in there. Um, yeah, there was something else I wanted to talk about. And and you know, like Katrina was a different time in my life. You know, it was a time depression. When we are depressed, we tend to neglect our spaces. We tend to neglect um, our homes. Our like we neglect them by not keeping them tidy or keeping them clean. We kind of let them just go. Let them go to pieces. And I was raised um, to clean a lot. Like as a child, I used to do the dusting. I had to organize the shoes in the closet. We didn't have a vacuum cleaner, so I had to get down on the floor, and I was the vacuum cleaner, picking up crumbs and lint off the floor, kind of like when you get high for crack, how people be tweaking and looking around on the floor. Like as a child, I was like picking up the lint off the floor. Like I was literally the vacuum cleaner, and so there's there's always been a certain level of cleanliness that I have needed. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not the neatest person in the world. I'm not the cleanest person in the world. I'm actually very comfortable with natural scents and a little bit of clutter, a little light clutter. You know, as an artist, sometimes things will be in disarray around me and a little disshuffled, but I don't like nastiness. When we get into nastiness, we're talking about like um, food stains and dirt build up that look like it's just been building up for years. Like it just it's certain areas that just that have not been cleaned or wiped down, and it's just like nastiness. It's like a film or a coating. Like when you go into some spaces and like dirt is so engraved and embedded into the floors and the walls that if you were to try to like wipe or mop or scrub, you literally start sweating trying to get that up, trying to get that, that type of nastiness, that type of dirt, like that. I'm not able to function in spaces like that. That makes me feel uncomfortable. Like I have grace for clutter. I have grace for a little junk. But when you start to have just like this buildup of nastiness, um, and I don't know, for some people it works because you know for some people that may be a way to build up your immune system, like living in a filthy environment, a filthy, nasty, dirty environment may be a way to build up your immune system and to make your immune system stronger. By exposing yourself to the grime and the film, of the nastiness, but for me it just doesn't. Like it makes me uncomfortable. I'm afraid to sit down. I just want to start cleaning. I just want to start cleaning in your house. And again, I'm not a neat freak. I'm not the cleanest person. My closet can be unorganized. My clothes can be disheveled. But the way that my mental health is set up, I cannot neglect a space for too long. Because if I neglect my space for too long, if I go too long without cleaning things or setting things, my mania will kick in and I will start to go through a depression. And so, because I don't want to go through a depression and I don't want my mania to kick in, then I have to consistently check in on spaces and do my due diligence to make sure that they're clean enough, to make sure that it's not filthy. I cannot maneuver when bowls and cups and plates and food and food crumbs and just dried up, and it's just been sitting there for so long that it's starting to dry, kind of bedded in the seats and chairs, and I can't, I can't do it. I cannot, and I'm not a snobby, bougie person who thinks that I'm better than other people. I'm just acknowledging my limitations, and I just don't have the bandwidth. I just don't have the bandwidth. Hey, sister, how you doing? Yeah, so we are diving into some things today. This is a video that is going on for the super moon. I have another topic and another story that I want to touch on. Um, and it's going to be a funnier story. But before I get ready to dive into that, um, I want to do a spell. So I'm going to do a spell, and people who want to help this spell to be powerful, people who want to help this spell work. I wrote the spell. I've prayed over the spell. I've talked to my ancestors about the spell. So I want people to contribute to the spell. So those of you who watch this video and come on later, because there's only 3 people on the live right now. But those of you, I'm going to answer your question, baby. Those of you who come, those of you who come on to the live later and you watch the live and you are a purple one and you do support the work that I'm doing, this is your opportunity to sow directly. I don't want no super chat. I want a cash app. That's why I wrote the cash app at the top. So I want 50 people. I'm being ambitious. I want 50 people to donate $5, and I want 5 people to donate $20. So that's 50 people to donate $5, and 5 people to donate $20. I take tens and ones as well, but this is the very specific ask. So you're going to play this part of the video 5 times. The words that I'm getting ready to say. After you make your donation, you're going to play this part of the video 5 times in order to make the spell work. So I need you to help me cast this spell. So I need 5 people to donate $20, and I need 50 people to donate. Not saying that the spell is not going to work, but we're just trying to make it as potent as possible. And I need for us to be connected. I need for there to be a current created, an exchange current. So my words are coming to you, and your currency is coming here, and it is a collaboration. And whatever is donated, whatever is sown, is going to go back into community, because I'm here in New York. I'm going to be meeting with some of my sisters. I'm already with my daughter. I'm going to see Natasha. I'm going to see Empathy. I'm going to see Lynn. And so I'm going to be doing things with community. And so those resources that you share will go back into community. Amen, amen. So I'm going to read the spell now. And this is the part that you're going to play 5 times. What once was ours be now renewed. Be ye managed with wisdom and not misused. Resources, access, prosperity and wealth, peace, joy, mindfulness, and wonderful health flow from spaces reserved for tyrants who maneuver in stealth. Crack open their vaults so that those may help themselves. Cloak and protect us as ancestors. Accept and receive this spell. Liberate our necks from steel-toed boots of this capitalist hell. Reconfigurate this matrix so that purple ones may thrive and not just dwell. Let resources, currency, and access flow more than our hands can hold. Let it pour over, under, and around, supplying all truly connected and loyal souls who embrace this goal. Let resources, currency, and access flow more than our hands can hold. Let it pour over and under and around, supplying all truly connected, loyal souls who embrace this goal. Let resources, currency, and access flow more than our hands can hold. Let it pour over, under, and around, supplying all truly connected, loyal souls who embrace this goal. In honor and reverence to our foremothers and forefathers who came from the genderless one, we pray, Amen, a woman, LelimLelur. So I'm going to read it one more time because I think I could do it better. What once was ours be now renewed, be managed with wisdom and not misused. Access, prosperity and wealth, joy, peace, mindfulness, and wonderful health flow from spaces reserved for tyrants who maneuvered in stealth, crack open their vaults so that those deprived may help ourselves, cloak and protect us as well. Ancestors accept and receive this spell, liberate our necks from the steel-toed boots of this capitalist hell, reconfigurate this matrix so that purple ones may thrive and not just dwell. Let resources, currency, and access flow more than our hands can hold. Let it pour over and under and around, supplying all truly loyal and connected souls who embrace this goal. Let resources, currency, and access flow more than our hands can hold. Let it pour over, under, and around, supplying all truly connected, loyal souls who embrace this goal. Let resources, currency, and access flow more than our hands can hold. Let it flow over, under, and around, supplying all truly connected, loyal souls who embrace this goal. In honor and reverence to our foremothers and forefathers who came from the genderless, and a woman, Lelim. I felt that was better that time. I felt it was better. Oh, baby, my candle's been lit for 3 days. You want to dive in the question for me later? Okay, yeah. So what's your question? Because before I go into this next topic, we're gonna have a moment. But remember, those of you who support the LelimLelur, like this is an opportunity for us to bond together and for us to do magical work together. And I believe that things are gonna manifest from this. So if you participate and you play the video, you play the message 5 times, and you participate, I would love to hear some of the stories that happen within the next coming years that you believe were connected to you participating. I would love to hear an experience about how you felt like you were prospering, a sign that you received, a door that opened, an answer that came, something that was affirmed for you. We're going to do like a follow-up for people who are going to participate, and for people who are going to support this video, and people who are going to contribute. We want to make space and just show the power of manifestation when we collectively work together, when we collectively do things together. So I want to say that, yeah. So, and they've been lit all day, like while I was I woke up, I haven't cut the TV on, I fast like watching social media content, all of that. And I just woke up, I cleared my head, I had me some mushroom coffee and a spinach croissant, a spinach empanada. And yeah, I started writing. And I've been like working with this piece all day, and I want to give these words to people, and I want them to to play over and over in your mind so that you can begin to manifest. As a matter of fact, let's do it one more time. What once was ours be now renewed. Be ye managed with wisdom and not misused. Resources, access, prosperity, and wealth. Joy, peace, mindfulness, and wonderful health. Flow from spaces reserved for tyrants who maneuver in stealth. Crack open their vaults so that those deprived may help ourselves. Cloak and protect us as well. Ancestors accept and receive this spell. Liberate our necks from the steel-toed boots of this capitalist hell. Reconfigurate this matrix so that purpleness may thrive and not just dwell. Let resources, currency, access flow more than our hands can hold. Let it pour over, under, and around, supplying truly connected, loyal souls who embrace this goal. Let resources, currency, access flow more than our hands can hold. Let it pour over, under, and around, supplying all truly connected, loyal souls. Let resources, currency, and access flow more than our hands can hold. Let it pour over, under, and around, supplying all truly connected, loyal souls who embrace this goal. In honor and reverence to our foremothers and forefathers who came from the genderless one, we pray a man, a woman, LelimLelur. What is your question, sister? So now, if we don't have any questions, remember, this is your chance. This is your chance to sow and to show it. I don't ask for stuff all the time. It's a super moon, so this is a good time. Do it today. We're in a super moon season. Put your seeds into the earth. I'm wearing my soldier earth suit. I'm wearing my earth tones. Yes, honey, so, lay eggs, plant seeds. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. Anyway, now for my funny story. But my funny stories are always true. I have like 10 more minutes because I have a Zoom meeting after this that's getting ready to start. But I want to tell y'all a funny story. So I have like 10 minutes to tell a funny story. So, the trauma I dealt with my mother, why do I have to get over it? The loss of my mother and how she was taken out. I will never forget. Yeah, I have another sister who is not doing well with the trauma. You know, she's also a Sagittarius. Her mother was shot in the head by a lover while she was in between her mother's legs in the car. The lover walked up to her and blew her brains out. While the child was like 5 years old and sitting between her legs. And I have another, my partner when I was in South Africa, Siabunga, his biological mother was set on fire in a bed while she was sleeping. And so I've been in people's lives who've had that type of loss, and they don't ever get over it, you know. They don't, like, from what I've seen, a lot of them don't ever get over it. And, I couldn't imagine being in that position. You know, um, know that when we only can look at it for the pain of the memory, it makes it harder to move forward in a way that feels good, you know, or feels like when we are stuck in the negativity of the memory, because although it's hard to find the joy in memories like that, there is still joy. You know, for my girlfriend who lost her mother when she was 5, I know it's hard for her to find the joy because she was so young, and so the memories that she had with her mother, she doesn't really remember them, because, you know, around 5, like, we don't really, like, a lot of us don't remember things before 5. And so she was just getting to that moment to where she was about to start making memories with her mom, and her mom was taken from her. And, you know, with him, he was very young when his mother, you know, was set on fire. And because of that, there's some resentment and some hard feelings that he has towards women, because in a way he's mad at his mama, even though it wasn't her fault for not being there. You know, I think a lot of times some people, we low-key, you know, we're angry at our parents, and it's a very human emotion to feel as though you have been abandoned, even though your parents may have not had a choice in the situation. But then if we believe, you know, celestially, that our lives are mapped out before we come here, like if we believe, like, and a lot of us do, I do too. You know, I've come to accept some things that I may have agreed to before I took on the flesh. You know, I may have agreed to some things, and now when they happen to me, I'm like, I would have never agreed to this. You know how we say, who would choose to be persecuted for being trans? Who would choose to be persecuted for being gay? Who would choose to, you know, have people laugh at you and make fun of you and ostracize you and put you down? Well, maybe in the spirit, before you took on the flesh, you did choose that. You know, maybe that was a choice you made because you understood in the grander scheme of things, in the bigger picture, how this was necessary, because there was other ways that it could have worked out, and there were other variables, other potential outcomes that could have happened, and you said, you know what, rather than it going like this, like maybe the decision was either it was gonna die or she was gonna die. And maybe the mother said, you know what, I would rather die myself and make sure that my child is protected and they're able to have this experience. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go so that my child can have an opportunity to live a fuller life. Does this leave my child in pain? Does this leave my child hurting? Does this leave my child feeling abandoned? Does it leave them feeling alone? Yes. But they're able to have opportunities that they may have never had if the parents had not decided to do that. Yeah, it's some decisions that I think we sometimes make celestially, on the ethereal plane, and you know, the biggest thing that I could say to you is, sister, like the greatest advice that I could give you is just to keep living. You know, not to get tired and not to get weary because you know that if you have not worked through that, and if you haven't gotten an understanding or signs from them, I think that once you get into this phase where you can become more disciplined with fasting and praying, and become more disciplined with for certain things, like some things that you may there's using and there's abusing, and sometimes we abuse things, and when they become abusive, we lose our balance. And this is something that I struggle with as well. And so I think when you can get into this place where you can meditate, and where you can find peace, and you can find solace, and you can find calm, and you could just find that without any outside things, and you could just go, like, one of the things I've started to reincorporate into my life is I've started to clear a space in my closet so that I could go in my closet and cut off the light and shut the door and meditate and just be with my thoughts and just breathe, in that dark, quiet space, and just like really, really just try to open a portal and just hear. And I think when you start to hear, when you start to be able to make those connections, and you'll be able to start to hear your ancestors from the other side. You'll be able to connect with them from the other side, and you'll be able to, connect with their energy and connect with them and understand. You'll be able to receive messages, and then that will help you to understand why things worked out the way they worked out. And man and woman. So just to help you understand it. So I think that this is a lot about just like having discipline, having the discipline to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to stop looking outside of myself. I'm going to stop going outside of myself. I'm going to take a moment to stop self-medicating, and I'm going to deal with these emotions. I'm going to just sit in this, and this is not going to overwhelm me. This is not going to overtake me. I'm going to breathe my way through this. I'm going to breathe my way through this. If I need to get me some pen and paper and write some things down, if I need to get me a coloring book and color while I'm thinking, if I need to get me some paint and paint brushes and paint while I'm processing this information, if I need to go outside and get me a blanket and sit out in the grass and feel the sun on my skin, you know what I'm saying, and make sure I, put me a little natural off on me, and just, put my feet on the ground and just let me feel the grass in between my toes and my feet, and, and feel the sun on my head, while I just breathe my way through this. You know what I'm saying? And there's many different ways to work through those emotions and to work through those feelings, but we have to be strong enough to sit with it. We have to be strong enough to sit with it. We have to be strong enough to sit with that, sit in those moments, and then that's when you'll start to hear these voices. The other day, one of my sisters, who is very powerful in the realm of voodoo, she asked me, she said, do you think someone put a black widow spell on you because you lost two of your partners back to back? And I think I may have said this in another video. I may have mentioned this before, but how I knew that it wasn't a black widow spell was because I've been visited by, and they were happy when they visited. Spell, I don't think they would be happy. I don't think that they would have told me what they told me. I think that this was a decision that we made prior to taking on this flesh, because the threat that the work was facing with both of them was me slipping into stealth. Like me being like, you know what, I'm not doing this work. I'm finna be with my man, and I'm finna live my life, as a woman, and I'm gonna be with my man. And LelimLelur will be all right. The purple ones will be all right. You know, me being public and getting on the internet all the time. Baby, I got my man. I'm gonna go sit in the corner and mind my business. You know what I'm saying? So the relationships did have the potential to jeopardize my ability to be able to focus on the work. And another thing that it brings up for me is also what is discussed in The Spirit of Intimacy. For those of you who have never gotten the book The Spirit of Intimacy, I would advise you to go and get the book called The Spirit of Intimacy. And it talks about the gatekeepers and how we have partners in different realms. And I could say that now. I definitely have partners in different realms. Fricel, Pantaleon, and Aaron Lucian, a Sagittarius and a Gemini, polarities, and they are my guardian angels now, and they are with me, you know, and I feel this, and I can petition them, and I can speak with them, and so I think that this was a decision that was made celestially, and it hurts me, you know, it hurts me because when they left me, I was like, I cried a many nights. I was like, y'all left me by myself. Y'all left me here alone, you know, and the world just felt colder without either one of them here. And so I definitely have been hurting over that, you know, but I definitely believe that this was some type of celestial decision that we made before we took on the flesh. And it's so crazy that when I published my book, I was always afraid to publish my book because there was a nagging prophecy in my spirit that told me that when I published my book, I was gonna die, and I didn't understand. Like we die to ourselves. Like we are all connected, and spirit is pruning certain parts of us so that other aspects of us can become stronger. Let me say that again. Spirit is pruning certain aspects of us so that other aspects of us can become stronger. And so that was a lot for me, because it's like these are men, like these are big strong men, and I'm the one that the ancestors chose to keep. I'm the one that is still here, you know, doing this work, and that, you know, that the ancestors see me as this strong, you know. One time I was talking to my daddy, my biological father, and me and my father, you know, we was having a moment. Like, we had got full together. Like, this was some years back. And we was high. And he looked at me. We had slept in the bed. And he looked at me and he told me, he said, "You're trans and you're HIV positive and you're still stronger than me." And that was like the most beautiful thing that a man has ever said to me. To see me beyond my transness and my positive, and me being positive, and to still see my soul, and to see me as a strong being, that was life changing for me to hear my father say that, you know, for me to hear my father say that to me. And so when they passed and they left, I went back and I changed the book, and I added their stories into the book. I honored them in the beginning of the book, because parts of me did die. I was legally tied to them. I had a domestic partnership with Erin, and then I legally married Faisal, and so we were a part of each other in every way. I was making this joke, and I was saying this the other day. A lot of times, when we're sexually active, um, ejaculation is literally ejaculation um, uninhibited by hormones like estrogen. It's a spark of life. And no tea, no shade to gay men, but this is why this is why they have so much energy. This is why they could go out and club all day and night, because they stay putting cum in each other. They stay ejaculating in each other. Like, and this is one of the things that I've learned. Like, you don't have to necessarily take testosterone injections if you are, receiving ejaculation, if you're receiving the seed. Because when I'm in relationships and I'm being ejaculated in, that's small doses of that testosterone that I'm receiving via the ejaculation. And so, even if you have like a penile inversion, over time there's going to be a buildup of ejaculation, and it's going to seep through the pores eventually, and you'll be getting small doses of testosterone. But if you're getting it, through your anal cavity, then that's like a direct injection of testosterone. And so, like, I noticed that when I'm in relationships where my partner is has a penis and he's ejaculating in me, that's giving me doses of testosterone. So I will have more energy. I'll be more active. You know what I'm saying? But I also know that it's possible to receive that estrogen. I mean, to receive that boost, via other canals. It may take a little bit longer for it to build up, but it's definitely still happening. And so, yeah, that's real. That's real. And so, when we fast and we cut ourselves off from those connections, that's why sometimes we feel tired. And honestly and truly, I think that's why some trans masculine beings can be extremely toxic, because they're getting too much testosterone. They're taking the testosterone injections. There's the testosterone that their body already inherently possessed, and then they're getting ejaculation from men, and so that's a lot of testosterone, that's going into their body. And even men who like love, sex, and they're having a lot of sex, like that's 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 a lot of testosterone that your body in. And so, I think like we're in this season where we have to like really like find like a healthy balance. I'm not saying don't get your testosterone boost. I'm saying, don't abuse it. Don't abuse the connection and the relationship. Because when you are a person that has fasted from sex, and you have not had testosterone or sex, I noticed that like there was this one year in my life where I did not have sex at all. And I was, I had my, because I went without sex before when I was younger. I was telling my daughter this the other day. I didn't start masturbating until I was 16, 17 years old. Yeah, and even then I didn't touch it. Like, I put it in between my legs and I just kind of like moved around until I orgasmed. But I used to have wet dreams all the time, and that was how I would reach orgasm. Like, I would literally have wet dreams. I would not touch myself. I was not comfortable with doing that, and I would just relieve myself naturally in dreams. Like, I would have wet dreams that turned out to be visions because they always came to pass. But anyway, we'll talk more about this later. I have to get off this video. I have a Zoom call that I have to jump on now. Remember, my Cash App is at the top of the video for those of you who want to participate in this ritual with me and so into LelimLelur and so into the art and so into purpleness. Please do. And we will share your stuff later for those of you who follow it to the T. Remember, you have to play the incantation 5 times and make your donation and then play the incantation 5 times. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll check in and see how it worked out for everyone. Be sure to click that like button when you come on. Subscribe to the channel if you have not been subscribed. I got on my soldier suit for sewing for Mother Earth and also for me overcoming what could have been a potential hate crime yesterday. So y'all be well. Y'all take care of yourselves. I love you. Down but down that I say cool, keep spinning and turning. Iangani, Iyanko, Kalukalo, which means I am a child of the goddess. And if I am, you know you are. Love y'all. Later.